Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. You startled me because I was pulling up the topics and getting everything set up. And I was like, okay, let me do this quickly. And then I pops in. I'm like, so I'm good. How are you?
I am fabulous and I'm super excited about this room. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing it real quickly while you do your thing.
Alrighty, alrighty. Dali, how are you, mija?
I'm excited. Thank you so much for letting me be one of your co-mods.
Oh,
Um,
mija, there'd be no other way. I mean, I need to have Dali here because, hello, hello, your Dali,
Thank
hello.
you. Welcome, Ashley. How are you?
Hi everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, 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 yes. Oh my goodness, she's here. It's almost like saying, wait a minute, you know, when your mom has guests and she invites everybody and she's not ready yet. And she's like, ay, espérate, 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 déjame terminar, déjame cambiar de ropa rapidito.
Well, this is my first clubhouse. This is actually very exciting for me. Thank you for having me.
Oh, wait a minute. Hello. So that, I don't know, ladies, what do you think? I think this is definitely worthy of an Amigos welcome. What do you ladies
Claro que
think?
sí, let's
Let's
do
do
it.
it.
Oh, let's do this.
Mhm.
Okay, Ashley, sit back. Okay, I want you to receive this. Remember this. Okay,
Okay.
a la one, a la two, a la three.
Bienvenida.
Bienvenida.
Woo!
Woo!
Wow, I loved it. Muchas gracias.
I know, Mama. So glad to have you here. So, really quick, let's do a little bit of what we call housekeeping. All right, so everybody, welcome. If you're listening to this in replays, this is the Amigos Book Room. We are inside the Amigos Club, which is the largest, que estamos, we're on 37,000 miembros,
We're
right?
getting close to 38,000, yeah. Algo por
38,000,
ahí.
algo por ahí, yeah, right? Members in this app, the Clubhouse app. So make sure that you follow La Casita Verde right above Dali. And we have here in the Amigos book room, we have Ashley Stoyanov Ojeda, and she is the writer of the author of this book, Jefas in Training. And I want to thank Cristina Ceniceros, who's in our audience. She was the one that recommended it. She says, Luz, you have to read this book because Jefas in Training, the business startup toolkit for entrepreneurial and creative women, is amazing. And the three of us are entrepreneurs. And so we were like, okay, we are going to do this. So in preparation for you, we kind of broke the book down. We talked about things we could relate to. And we're here today to hear from you. So just give us one moment. Ashley, guys, go ahead, share this. You see the little box at the bottom with the arrow. Please go ahead, share that. And then we have our chat room right across. Go ahead. Welcome everybody. Okay, so dame un momentito. Denai, is there anything else you want to share while I finish setting up?
Yes, sorry, I was sharing myself. So yeah, no, I want to welcome Ashley. Ashley and I have been kind of in touch online for quite some time, and I have to tell you, Ashley, I was thrilled when your name came up with the book, and I was even more thrilled when I read it. I'm gonna put me voy a poner las botas cubanas right now, and I'm gonna say que te la comiste. It was amazing. I literally went through it in one day. It was such a good read, and yeah, no, my hat's off to you. Really, te la comiste. I can't wait to talk about it and talk about your journey. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so stinking proud of you. So I'm sending you a virtual cafecito and a congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead start with the intros. Dali, go ahead, introduce yourself. We'll work in reverse fashion. How's that?
Got it. So,
All
hi
right.
everybody. My name is Dali. I live in Maryland, and I am a parenting coach that specializes in bullying awareness education for parents. And I'm also, of course, a big reader. That's why I'm here, always helping Luz with the book room. And I just thank you for being here, especially Ashley. And that's all about me. So, up next is Danai.
Thank you, Dali. My name's Danais Canavarino. I am the owner of a digital agency. I have been in digital marketing for over 25 years. I connect brands to multicultural consumers, which shows me just how important we are as both a consumer segment and as job creators and entrepreneurs, which is what fuels my passion for creating community around Latino professionals. That's why this club's around. That's why Latina Meetup is around. And that's why we have these types of events. So, I'm super thrilled. And with that, I will send the mic back over to Luz.
Bueno, mi gente, I'm Luz Nazario, and thank you so much for being here. I'm an educator. I'm a full-time educator. I've been 27 years teaching. But my love, my business, my small shop is Neda's Coquito, and like I said, Cristina Ceniceros presented this to us, and I want to just quickly as we begin. So if you don't know, right? Ashley Stoyanov, perdóname, mija, I said I was going to get this right before today. Stoyanov Ojeda, a business development strategist that works with small business owners and startups through coaching, consulting, integrating herself on their teams to create and execute a roadmap of sustainable growth. And I need to tell you, when I saw this book and I started looking through this book, I immediately said this book comes alive, right? Because the way you set this book up in my thoughts was a living document. And it's personalized for each person. And I was like, oh my god, I like this because it grows. In my opinion, it grows as the business grows. As I take each step to make this a reality. So, mi gente, let's welcome Ashley. Ashley, bienvenida. Introduce yourself, and then we'll continue.
Thank you so much. And all the things that you all are saying about the book, even though we're just beginning, it makes me feel so great, honestly, because I'm sure we'll get into the writing process and everything, but it was written in a very intentional way, and it's very difficult in the beginning to think, how am I going to write a book that appeals to both service and business providers? I don't really know how I'm going to do this, but anyway, we'll get more into it. I'll introduce myself. Thank you again for having me. My name is Ashley. As Luz mentioned, I am a business development coach. I work with many of the Latina brands that you probably know and love. My main thing is I'm the director of business development for the Mujerista digital publication, and I co-created the Mujerista Network, which is our online community. And I also am a business development coach to Cadena Collective, Bonita Fierce Candles, Lead Media, and many more amazing Latinas that I get to work with every day, and I'm super proud. And most recently, I published Jefan Training, which is essentially what I do for my clients, all in a 230 something page book, and it's very exciting.
Yes, and we're excited to have you here. So we're gonna start at the beginning of your book. One thing I really liked about your book, you kept the Spanglish, right? You kept all the things that we do anyway, and there's no son capítulos, son lecciones. Adelante para empezar. I love that. I truly enjoyed that, and I love that you didn't have to like include a dictionary or footnotes like this is what this means. You kept it to authentic. So tell me, what is your experience? What did you go through that you said, I'm writing this book? I know you shared it at the beginning, but for the person that has not read this book yet or heard it, who is Ashley? How did Ashley get here to this point?
Definitely. I think the inspiration for this book was a combination of a few things. I have always loved to write. I always knew that writing a book was going to be something I would do one day. But this book in particular is way more than that, right? So I started my first business 10 years ago, but my first real venture that grew very quickly was my nonprofit that I started right out of college, and it grew so fast. It's a music nonprofit organization called Women Crush Music, and it went from being a team of just me to a team of over 50 people and a community of 10,000 people in 1 year. And I had no idea what I was doing because at that time I was just a aspiring rock star playing live music all across New York City and Portland, Oregon. And I had a media communications degree, and the only thing I really knew how to do was promote and promote and get people to show up to events. And so that's kind of how I started my business. But at some point between year 2 and year 3, we got to a point where we couldn't grow anymore because I had never set this foundation that I talk about in the book that is so important. There was no strategic plan, there was no financial plan anywhere to be found at my organization. And of course, that kind of set us back a little bit. But it forced me to pause and learn all of the things that I had to learn. And in the process, I was able to help other founders at that point because they saw how much we grew and they saw how we pivoted and they saw how I handled situations. So I began to coach other creatives and other entrepreneurs at that time to walk them through what I went through. And I read a lot of books in the process, and most of them, if any of you have done the same, you'll probably realize that most of the business books that are out there are written by already wealthy white people. And some of them are great, some of them were just not really what I was looking for. For me, it's very, very difficult to feel inspired by people who I don't have much in common with. And by saying that, I suppose I should probably explain a little bit about my background. My mom's Mexicana, de Morelia, Michoacan. I grew up going to Mexico every summer for 3 months, 4 months at a time. I still go back at least once a year. I actually was just there a couple weeks ago. It's the first time I went back since COVID, and it was really nice to see my family. Um, and I going to Mexico has always been like home for me. And I come from a very, very big family. And for me, going there was always my safe space. And I struggled to find that safe space and find people I had things in common with. Even though I grew up in New York City, the most diverse place in the States, I think, and in Queens, I didn't actually really have a lot of Latino friends for whatever reason. Um, and that all changed in 2020 at the beginning of the pandemic. I met Maribet, the founder of the Mujerista, and she asked me to join her team and co-create this online community with her. And the Latina entrepreneurs that I met in that group from the very beginning are such powerhouses that I spoke to them a lot about their journeys and eventually became their coach. And I realized that I was not the only one who realized that there was such a lack for a book like this, for something that was strategic and something that was educational, but also something that made us feel at home and comfortable and like we could connect to who was writing it. And then it was just a little bit of magic that happened. I Before I started working with the Mujerista, I thought of the idea for this book and I pitched a lot. I pitched a lot of agents. I pitched a lot of publishers. I even spoke with some book coaches to see if they could help me, and everyone told me it's too niche. It's not going to work. No one wanted to publish HIFA training. And somehow, a few months after I started working with the Mujerista, that really, really validated the idea for the book. I accidentally met an editor for my publisher, Mango Publishing, and it just so happens that the editorial team and the marketing team were all Latinas. So you know that they fought for this book. At first, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be saying this, but oh well. At first, Mango did.
Spill the tea, girl. Don't worry. Go ahead.
I'll tell you the cheese net. So Mango didn't want to publish the book at first. They also thought it was too niche. I also, I'm not Beyonce or Oprah. I don't have a million followers, and they weren't sure it was gonna work. But let me tell you, they're real happy that they published it now. And I think that that just goes to show you that our comunidad as Latinas. First of all, this book was so needed, and I'm just so honored to have been the person who wrote this and put it together. But second of all, like our community is so powerful, and it just kind of makes me think like Latinas are starting businesses faster than any other demographic right now. Why wouldn't it be obvious that there would be a book like this out there to help us get to where we need to be? That was a very, very long-winded introduction. I'm sorry, I'm a rambler. But I hope that gave enough information about me and how this book came to be.
No, that's a good thing. And like Laura says in the chat room, niche is good because it's needed. It is needed. Denai, I know you had a question that you wanted to share with Ashley or ask her.
I do. Okay, so um I'm always interested in what the hell your day looks like. So when you're writing a book, and I'm talking about specifically about the process that you took in writing this book. What did a day in your life look like? How did you write it? Did you like wake up at 5 a.m. and write for 4 hours straight every day? Did you have to do a ton of research? I know you reached out to people, and I know some of them didn't get back to you in time. But what specifically did it look like? What was the writing process for you?
It was a little bit all over the place. I wish I could say that it was organized and I had blocks of time, for every day of the week that I blocked out on my calendar, but you have to remember that or at least for my case, right? I wrote a book, but I was also still working with all of my clients. Very, very busy clients, and it took 6 months I wrote the book in 6 months, and I had the chapters all outlined, so I knew what was going to go in each one of them. Of course, things kept being added and moved around, but I also knew who exactly I wanted to reach out to as far as collaborators go for each of the chapters. And so in the beginning, I tried to write the chapters in order. I really did. I started with chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and then I skipped towards the end just because I kept lining up conversations with collaborators that just matched. And of course, after all the chapters were written individually, I made sure that they flowed, and that's when the editorial team helped out a lot as well. But it really depended on the days. There were a lot of early mornings, there were a lot of late nights, and there were a lot of weekends spent at the coffee shop just knocking out paragraphs. And it was an intense process, and in the thick of it I was just like, oh my god, what am I doing? But now that it's done, I'm just like, okay, I'm ready for the next one. But it was fun. It was definitely fun, and also I don't think I've ever questioned myself so much in my life as if when I was writing the book. I would write 30 minutes and then look at my pages and be like, oh, should this go here? Or should this be in a new chapter? Or should this paragraph go before this paragraph? Or should I just delete everything? And I relied a lot on my editors as a first time author because I'd never done this before, to help me with kind of a structure. And then once we solidified that structure, then it became a lot easier.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for that. I'm going to go ahead and send the mic back over to Dali because I know Dali had a question as well.
I sure do. I have many questions. So that was very interesting that you mentioned, Ashley, that you have a lot of self doubt, like when you were doing your writing process. But was there a specific event that happened anything like, that helped you decide, okay, I have to write this book and this is what it has to be about? Was there anything in specific that ignited that thought and got you into motion?
I think it was just I'm a business development coach, right? So I live and breathe the stuff that's in the book every day. I'm talking about it every day with my clients. And so the more and more that I had conversations like these with my clients and the same issues would come up where they needed help with partnerships or creating a financial plan or XYZ, developing thought leadership, what have you, I really understood how necessary this was. And, business development coaching is not for everyone. And I really wanted to be able to provide a way to get the information out there um, through another outlet, which is the book, because I want all of us to succeed. And I think the more people that can have the tools, because like someone said earlier, it's a toolkit and you can really use it however you want to for your business, and you can even come back to it. And I think that's a kind of really great part of it, is that you can take it and you can use it often, not just once, and use it to grow with you.
Thank you so much for that answer. You also mentioned the Mujerista earlier. You said that through the Mujerista, you were able to kind of validate that there was a need for this book. Would you give us a little idea of like how you validated that with your audience there? Because a lot of us that are entrepreneurs, we're starting and we have, say, like a few hundred or a few thousand followers, and then we think, well, that's not large enough of a size. So yeah, if you can touch on that a little bit, I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, definitely. I was already in the writing process, and I really validated what needed to go into the chapters based off of my conversations with my clients. And so I think I probably surveyed about 25 to 30 of like my closest past clients, current clients, industry colleagues, about what they felt like they needed when they were first starting out on their journey. And I kind of just went from there. But it's interesting that you mentioned that, like, people are hesitant because they might only have 100 followers or 1,000 followers. But I'll tell you something, that the amount of followers does not necessarily matter as much as how engaged they are with you. Because the reason that Kefan training is doing well is because I became a trusted resource within the Latina community because I was working with the Mujerista. And people already trusted the Mujerista as a source to get information and entertainment and be a part of this community, that when they saw that I had a book coming out, they were excited about it. They weren't like, oh, who is this coming through with a book? Like, how do we know that she knows what she's talking about? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if there's anything I have to say about that, is work on your thought leadership, and work on building like your VIP community of people who are genuinely interested and invested in what you're building.
Thank you so much. I am so glad that you mentioned that it's about nurturing that audience regardless of size, because I struggled with that a lot at the beginning, and I'm pretty sure that that is probably helping somebody who's listening right now. My I'm gonna send it back to Luz, because I do have other questions, but I don't want to take up all the time. Go ahead, Luz.
Oh no, I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes. I'm enjoying this. All right, so I'm going to talk about the book, the structure. Now, like I said, I love the way you did. Son lecciones, tú sabes, cosas que tu mami, una comadre te va a decir. I just loved all that. And I loved even more that you used the quotes. Now, of all the quotes that you have there, which quote is the one you have pinned up on your wall or your mirror or at your computer that is Ashley's quote? I don't even know if mantra would be the right word.
So I actually just changed mine out. And if you let me grab my quote book over here, it's the one from Isabel Allende. I'll read it.
Woo! Yes, and we had her in the book room. I just want to share with you. She was here. Amazing woman. Pero bueno, I'm sorry, Mama. Go ahead.
But she says, "Me gustan las personas que tienen que luchar para obtener algo. Los que teniéndolo todo en contra salen adelante."
Oh, I like that. And how does that speak to you?
Um, I think I think because I had to, I mean, I didn't have to fight too hard. Some people fight a decade to get their book published, you know? But I think that because it wasn't a yes right away, and I did have to prove that the concept of this book was something that would sell and that it was needed. Um, and we still made it happen. And I'm saying we because it really was a community effort. It wasn't just me. Um, that really says something, and that this is really only the beginning. It's only the beginning of this. I'm calling it the jefa in training movement.
I like that, the jefas in training movement. Okay, so we're joining your movement. I just want you to know that we all here on stage and the ladies in the mezzanine, we're part of that movement, Mama. So we are recruited. We have bought in. We are. You got us. Um, Dana, you ready, Mama? Because I know you were on a phone call.
I am. Bear with me because my dogs are going crazy as usual. Okay, so this is continuing this conversation. So if it, I'm a big fan of failure and roadblocks. Like huge fan. Like I don't go gaga over celebrities, but man, do I fangirl over a failure. And I say that because I believe it makes us tremendously stronger. In fact, I believe that that's part of why Latinos are so incredibly resilient, right? As we've learned to overcome anything and everything that has been thrown at us, whether it's the immigrant story, whether it's just anything. And so I know you spoke about, the roadblock of having to, find a publisher and getting the no. Um, did you encounter any other roadblocks, either during the writing of the book, the promotion of the book? If you did, can you just expand on that and tell us a little bit more about it?
Thankfully it's been smooth sailing since there was, I mean, I'm gonna knock on wood right now because we're still we're still kind of in lunch phase, so I'm just gonna knock on wood. But I mean, releasing a book during a pandemic actually was something that was a little bit terrifying, because I wasn't entirely sure if I was going to be able to do in-person book tour events to promote. Shipping was all sorts of messed up in the beginning. Actually, we sold out of the book everywhere the day after that it was released, which sounds great, but it was actually really terrifying because Amazon and all of the other distributors forgot to pick up books from the warehouse because they were understaffed. Um, and it was just a lot that was out of our control. That we just kind of had to work with it and ride the wave. And so I think that was definitely a huge challenge to accept and just kind of make the best with what we had.
Wow, thank you so much for that, Ashley. I'm gonna reset the room just for a moment here because I see new people have joined us. So we're having a conversation with Ashley Stoyanov Ojeda. She wrote an amazing book, Jefas in Training, which I recommend. And we want to invite you to come on up and ask questions. If you cannot come up and speak, it's okay. You can go ahead and use a chat feature to ask your question. And if you want it to be anonymous, because maybe you're shy, you can use the back channel. And please don't forget to check out her website. We have it pinned up at the top, ashleystoyanov.com. And I'm sending the mic back over to Luz.
Oh, yes. Welcome, Lupita. Glad to have you on stage. Give us one moment. We're going to ask another set of questions. I know Lupita's got questions because she is quite the chingona, mi gente. So, and Lupita, welcome, mama. I'm going to continue. Now, Ashley, what from your well, okay. I want to ask you about your childhood in the sense of, books that you've read and what would you tell little Ashley?
Um, I would tell her that everything is going to be okay. I think that I worried a lot growing up about not being understood. I always felt like I was misunderstood, and that's why I started writing. I used it as a form of therapy. First, it was poetry, then I started writing music. I still write music, and then it was writing articles, and now it's writing books. And I think I always felt like that was how I connected best with people, even when I would butt heads with my mom as a teenager. And instead of talking to her, I would actually write her letters because I felt like I was best understood that way and could best communicate my feelings that way with her. And I would just say, girl, everything is going to be fine. You just need to keep communicating the way that you know how to. And I think that I struggled a lot to kind of find myself because I thought that I had to be one specific way because society likes to put us into a box. And as a multi hyphenate, multi passionate, multi faceted entrepreneur, that felt very not normal for me. Those who know me will know that I'm always working on various projects because that's just the only way I know how to be. And I think that that's fine, and that makes us who we are, and we need to be proud of that.
Agreed. Agreed. I like that. And I think we all need to remember those things. Danai, Dali, any question you want to share, ask?
I do, but I would love, love, love to hear what Lupita has as far as a question. So I suggest we go ahead and head over to Lupita, send her the mic, and then we can continue asking our questions.
Bienvenida, Lupita.
Hello, everyone. I am super excited that you're here. I'm fangirling a little bit. So, I
Oh,
actually just recently learned about it. It was actually through this room that I heard about the book, and I was super excited with the concept. I was actually working with a book called Mind Your Own Business, not to throw shade. But as soon as I heard about it, I picked up your book and I put the other one aside. And the reason why it's because I call my mom Jefecita, and we're working on a project together right now. And I think that this book has allowed her and I to work on this together, and it has given me the tools to kind of coach her through certain things. Um, and as I'm trying to coach her and trying to translate certain things, and I'm wondering, because I know that you work with a lot of chingonas, a lot of mujeres, what is that one thing that you see come up a lot that we struggle with? What is that one thing that comes up the most?
imposter syndrome, 100%. Also, thank you, Lupita. Thank you for being here. Thank you for saying that. I actually know which book you're talking about because we used it as a competitor when we were, uh, doing the analytics for the book and everything like that. So thank you for saying all of that. But I would say imposter syndrome 100%. It's interesting that you mentioned that you were working with your mom because I actually just hired my mom to work with me for my business a few months ago. and it's been an incredible experience. But to kind of explain further my point about imposter syndrome, I want to talk to you a little bit about my mom. So my mom is Mexicana. Like I mentioned earlier, she had comes from a very big family. She's the only one in her family that went to college. She got her master's. She landed a really, really great accounting gig, and she was working for the government of Michoacan as an accountant. And then she met my dad, an American, and then she married him and moved to the States and just focused on raising my brother and I. Worked a small few amount of odd jobs kind of in between then, but still focusing on being a mom and taking care of the house and all that. And most recently, my brother moved out, so my mom no longer has to worry about having a child at home. And my dad's around, but he does his own thing. He goes to work and he has his friends and whatever. And my mom's kind of been going through something, right? Where she is almost 70 years old. She didn't want to be home limpiando la casa 20 veces like she usually does. And she was asking me for help. She was like, I want to switch careers. I want to do something, but I'm not sure why. Why wasn't she sure? Because she said, my English isn't good. I don't know how to use computers. I haven't really had a job in like 30 years. I'm too old. All of these reasons, because society puts these pressures on us, right? And they make us feel like in my mom's situation, that as a Latina, as an immigrant, as someone who's a little bit older on in life and has gone through many different experiences, that they can't start something new. And I am very, very, very proud of my mom because she put all of that aside and she accepted the offer to start working with me. And it's been a little bit of a learning curve for her, but she's been been doing amazing. And I think that that's one of the reasons why I also wanted to write this book and have the collaborators talk about their experiences, because this way people can see when they're reading, it's not just me who started a business and is doing fine. People can say, wow, well, I read HIFA in training, and Ashley started a business, and Anna started a business, and Maribeth started a business, and Alex started a business, and so why can't I? Why can't I do it? You know? And I think representation is so important because of that, because more of us need to see what's possible, and what better way for them to see that is for us to keep doing our thing.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. I really, really like that, and I thank you, Lupita, for sharing that you and your mom are essentially working together. I love that, Ashley. Also, moms are amazing. They are amazing. Dali, I saw you on mic. Do you have a question?
I wanted to comment on that. That is so beautiful. 'Cause, one of the things that I remember reading right before the pandemic is also that a lot of older women, especially empty nesters, are starting businesses. And when I was reading this book, I realized how very few books are written about entrepreneurship by Latinas, especially in Spanglish. And I think that a lot of people can definitely feel more attracted to pick up the book when they see the title. And just going through it, I noticed that you have everything broken down so simple. You just really don't go into the fancy words and all of that. So for people who have never seen your book, what is like the one thing that you would say to them, like, hey, this is why you should pick up this book?
I would say, imagine that this is not a book by a business coach. Imagine that this is your training, and every time you pick up the book, you're talking to your prima who knows about business, or your mejor amiga who knows about business, and that's how it's going to be explaining things to you. It's not written in a scary or overwhelming way. The book is written in the same tone that I'm speaking to everyone right now, and that I've been speaking to this whole time. And I hope that some of you have been able to relate to a little bit of my story, um, because that comes through a lot in the book. You know, I talk about my primos and I talk about my mom, and she even has a little quote at the end of the book, and that's really it. It's this I think that I probably have something in common with a lot of you. Same thing with a lot of the collaborators in the book. I think we all share some kind of Latina hermana bond, and I want people to feel that sense of community and of home while they're reading. And from what I've gotten feedback, the feedback that I've gotten, you know, it seems like people are feeling that. So I hope that will encourage more people to buy it.
Thank you. I'm gonna pass the mic over to Danaya.
I'll take it.
Yeah, go ahead. I knew you had one.
Thanks. Okay, so I have to say the book has so many resources and so many like just really really good tools. I mean, everything from setting up your LLC and just advice from an attorney that would cost a heck of a lot of money to just the resources are tremendous. They're absolutely tremendous. And I can tell you, I have been an entrepreneur for eons, and I wish I had something like this to work off of when I first started. It absolutely covers so much. So, I'm a big fan of what you did with this. But I want to take it back because, and the reason I'm going to ask you this question is because I know that this book is and will continue to have tremendous impact on readers for forever basically. And so I want to go back to what book in your childhood or even in your adulthood had a tremendous impact on you that just shaped you in some way or another.
There's a book called Do Cool Shit by Mickey Agrawal. She has founded many, many companies. She comes from a mixed background, and mixed Asian background, and that was the first time that I read. I think I read it probably right when I started my nonprofit organization. That was the first book that I read that I um, really felt seen in, because she came from a minority background. They didn't have a lot of money. She talked about how her parents worked multiple jobs so they could get by, how she worked since she was really young, and how she just started by networking and not really knowing much about business and just kind of following what was important to her. And I really, really connected with her story. And she talks about all the corporate jobs that she had, and how she kind of used that energy to fuel her own businesses. And I thought that it was very, very inspiring. And I was like, okay, maybe I can do this. Maybe there is something there for me, because I felt represented um, by her story. I felt seen there. And yeah, I think that that's probably the book that changed my life.
I love that. I have not read that. I'm adding it to my reading list. Thank you for that. Okay. Luz, I'm going to send the mic back over your way.
Perfect. What was the name of that book again so we could capture it? The title? I'm sorry, you were a little muffled there, Ashley. What was the title of that book?
Do cool shit.
Do cool shit. You can't forget that title. All right. Um, now, bringing it forward a little bit, what are you currently listening to? What podcast? What music? What book?
So I'm going to shameless plug. I made a HIPAA and training Spotify playlist. to celebrate the launch of the book because, as I mentioned earlier, I am a musician, I'm a songwriter as well, so I love music, and I thought what better way to celebrate this release than with a jefa and training playlist. So it's a playlist filled with like dancey jefa vibe music, all by Latinas from all over the world. And I'm very, very excited about it. And I don't think many people know about it yet. So definitely check it out.
That is really cool. I'm checking
They
it out.
do now. They do now.
I know, right?
So wait, it's called Have Fun Training what?
If you look up full-time training on Spotify, like you'll probably see like a bunch of interviews with me, but you also will see the playlist.
Okay, because I want to put that in the chat here. Okay, so it's Hefa. Hold on. All right, Hefa in training music on Spotify, right? Okay,
I'll keep it link and I can put it in the chat.
excellent.
Can I ask another question?
Go
It's a
ahead. Go
little
ahead.
kind of
Go
like,
ahead.
yeah, it's a little not on topic of the podcast, but I have to ask this. How did you reach out to people like Eva Longoria to say, like, hey, please read my book and can I use a quote from you about the book? How did that go?
That's basically how it went. That's basically how it went. Well, I mean, okay, I will say this. I think, the moment you decide that you're going to write and you're going to publish a book, it's essentially like starting a whole new business. And so you don't just start and you wake up one day and you're like, okay, I'm gonna reach out to this person that I've never met before and that probably has never heard of me. And you can do a lot of cold outreach. It might go well, it might not. Half of my endorsements were cold outreaches, but you are developing these relationships with your collaborators and with your endorsers like for a long time. So when it comes time for you to start looking for people to write blurbs for the cover of your book, um they already know who you are and they trust you. um and it all kind of goes back to that thought leadership, right? I was talking about a little bit earlier. For example, like for Eva Longoria, she actually follows the Mujerista. And so when it came time for us to start reaching out to get endorsements for the book, I was talking to Maribeth, the founder of the Mujerista, and I was just like, okay, like let's put our brains together. Like, who can we reach out to? Who's in our network? Who likes us already? Who respects us? Who trusts us? And she goes, well, we have a really good relationship with Eva Longoria. And I was like, oh, okay. Should we shoot our shot? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And we did it, and that's basically how that happened, and that's how all of them happened.
Wow, that's really cool. It truly is very powerful when you know people that know people. And now it's so much easier to do that if you leverage those relationships, right?
I
That's
mean, I will say never, never underestimate the power of a relationship, but like people know like if you're genuine, right? People know if you're genuine, and if this is only the second time that you're talking to them, they're probably not going to connect you with Eva Longoria. It's just never, never underestimate the power of relationships, and the same way you talk to your clients and your customers, like you have to talk to industry colleagues and be respectful of their time and their energy.
absolutely. And so, do you think that you're gonna have a part two to this book in the near future?
I'm just going to say stay tuned. That's all I can say.
Well, we'll be tuning in. Do you have any events like book signings, anything that we should know of, or any other offers that we should know of to support you with?
Oh, well, I still have some slots available for business development coaching if anyone is interested for the late spring and summer. I don't have any in person events coming up and I don't really know if I will until maybe during Hispanic Heritage. But virtually, we haven't officially announced it yet, so you guys will be the first to hear. But with the Mujerista, we're doing a Latina authors panel event on May 17th. It's a virtual event. It's going to be myself, Valeria Aloe, the author of Uncolonizing Latinas, Prisca Dorcas, and SJ Fennell. So it's going to be a really, really awesome panel filled with amazing Latina authors, and we're just going to be talking about our books and the writing journey and publishing and kind of what's next for us. So definitely mark your calendars for that. So it's going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Very cool. And where can they sign up for that one?
So we haven't announced it just yet, but we're going to announce it through the Mujerista this week at some point.
Okay, you all heard her. You gotta stay tuned. And Danai, do you have any questions?
I do. I have lots of questions, but I'll stick it to, I'll stick to one. Um, so I already asked you about the book that that moved you. I want to talk about what main message do you want readers to take from your book? For example, for me, the message is anybody can be an entrepreneur. Here are the tools that you need. Here is some, some real good granular advice. But amiga, you can do it. Anybody can do it. You just have to kind of follow the guidelines, right? Follow this template that pretty much you created a template. So what message is it that you want everybody to take away from this book?
That's exactly it, right? It's possible. It's possible. That's the message. That it's possible. There are many of us doing it right now, and that you're not alone. I think that's the other part, and you don't have to do everything by yourself. There are supportive communities that you can turn to for help. The Mujerista Network is free. We have events for entrepreneurs all the time. There's the We All Grow Latina community as well that has a bunch of amazing resources for jefas out there. So there are a lot of different places you can turn to, and don't be afraid to reach out.
I love it. Thank you for that. Um, Dali, I see that you opened up, so I know that you have a question.
Yes, I do. So, if you hold on just a second. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Hmm.
Okay, sorry. It was
Yes, ma'am.
some family background noise. Okay. if you if you were to say like redo anything in this book, like rewrite anything or maybe like do something like an event differently, what would you do?
Ooh. Um, I think I would have left more room for writing, just like kind of maybe added more of like a journal aspect to the book. That's something that I thought about after it had already come out and I started getting feedback about the worksheets and things like that. But like I said, stay tuned for that.
Thank you. Go ahead, Luz.
Okay, yeah. Lupita put a good question because I had thought about that, and she put it in the chat. Do you still sing and do some songwriting? And which instrument do you play?
That is a great question, Lupita. Lupita's putting me on the spot right now. I will be honest and say that I am very out of practice. However, I would like to make it a priority this year to get back to it. I miss performing. I don't want to be a touring rock star musician. Being a touring author is enough. But I do miss performing at little coffee shops and little wine bars. That was so fun for me. I think I'm most happy with an intimate kind of crowd setting, and I would like to start doing that again and maybe make a comeback with some Spanglish music. Um, so yes, I haven't done anything recently. I have written some music with some friends of mine who are pop artists here in Portland. But I myself, as a singer-songwriter, have not put out anything in the last few years.
And I found that interesting. You went from New York to Portland. Most people go from Portland to New York for music.
Pace. I have a love-hate relationship with New York to this day. I'm very glad that I grew up there. I'm very glad that I still visit there often because my parents are still there. But I'm a very, very like go, go, go kind of person. It is very hard for me to take breaks. Days off are are a struggle for me. I don't know if that's because I'm from New York or because I'm a Capricorn. I'm still figuring it out, but I think I really, really needed a change of pace, and Portland's definitely more of a laid back kind of city. Everything moves a little bit slower, which was an adjustment for me, 100%, but I think it's an adjustment that I needed. And also like the nature here is crazy. I love being an hour away from the mountains and being able to I recently picked up hiking with my husband, and that's been just a total game changer for both of our mental health, I think.
Ashley, speaking of mental health or self care, what is the one investment that you've done for yourself, for self care?
Oh, um, I have to say that self-care is not my zone of genius, and I'm still working on it. I'm definitely still working on it. I am the kind of person who puts herself through burnout, more often than I would like to admit. And I actually got very burnt out in the process of writing this book. And I am very open talking about it because I think that we should be talking about this more so that it hopefully doesn't happen to more of us. But I think it's not of monetary investment, more of like a mental and emotional investment. If you're someone like me who has a hard time stepping away from work, um, just allowing yourself that space and that energy to be away and not feel guilty about it, I think that is the biggest investment that you can have for yourself, because if you don't have time away, you don't take time off, you will get burnt out, and then your your business will go down with you. And I think we need to understand that we need to take time away and we need to set boundaries with ourselves. um like we complain about clients emailing us at midnight and 3 a.m. and waiting for a response, and then we are there at the computer waiting for them to email us at 9 p.m. during the week. And I think that's definitely something that I've had to work on. And I would just say allowing that time without feeling bad is important.
Thank you so much. I'm sending the mic back over to Luz.
Ashley, we're at the top of the hour, and I want to thank you so much. I know at the beginning we had a little bumpy road on scheduling, but I'm so glad you're here, and I want to thank you for this gift because this, I believe, is your gift to us and to any Latina that's looking to start a business. Um, and I've started, and like Christina introduced your book, and I've been like, oh wait, I need to go back and do this. Oh, I need to do this. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you for this gift, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for taking your time out. And guys, make sure that you follow her on Instagram. She's also on LinkedIn. You're also on Facebook, I saw. Is that correct? Or did I?
I'm really trying with TikTok, guys. I really am. No promises there, but I will do my best. And if I could leave you with one more thing, I'm gonna tell you, Luz, but I'm telling everyone else too. Someone earlier mentioned that they went through the book in an hour, and a lot of people have been saying that because the truth is, it is an easy read. But I would recommend that you just take all the time that you need to work through the book, do all the writing prompts, do all the worksheets, read the whole book again, and then do it all again if you have to. Um, because I think there's a lot of things that you might have to just kind of sit on for a few days and really think about it. There's a lot of decisions that you'll have to make about your business, about money, and about who you want to work with, and this and that. So take your time with it. Don't feel like pressured to finish it in a certain amount of time. Because it does require work. It's a workbook. So just keep that in mind, everyone who is reading it now and who will read it in the future.
And that, yeah, like I kept saying, I said, this is a living book. This book grows with you, and it just, it's alive. It's alive, right? Just like your business and like you. Mi gente, I want to thank you for coming into the Amigos book room. Here in Amigos, we strongly believe in supporting the Latino, Latina, Latine, Latinx community. Ashley has shared with us how you can help her. You can also follow her. We have our link above in our chat room. We have some books that she recommended, as well as her podcast. Denai, Dali, any last thoughts before we close out?
I just wanted to say thank you, Ashley. Thank you for jumping in here with us. If you can't tell, I absolutely loved the book. I've recommended it to a ton of people, and I'm so glad you wrote it. It was definitely needed, and yeah, I wish you tremendous continued success with it. Over to you, Dali.
Thank you, Ashley, so much. And for everybody listening, look, if you are stuck in your business, if you don't know how to move forward, this book is definitely going to help you clear your mind and, find out like what you need to do next. And of course, Ashley is available and she has her coaching program available, open. And so reach out to her. Don't be afraid. You got to invest in yourself. And like she said, take your time with the book.
Bueno, mi gente, make sure that you check out our upcoming rooms in Amigos. Make sure you click on the greenhouse, la mansión verde, arriba en la esquina. Mi gente, gracias por pasar el tiempo con nosotros. Y mi amiga Dali y yo vamos a cerrar. Colorín colorado.
Este cuento se ha acabado.
Buenas noches, mi gente. Gracias, Ashley. Dios te bendiga. Bye.
Adios.
Bye.